Honesty, passion, experience. It's Timberwolves Explosion, hosted on the Paladinolive network. And now, your host, Paladino Joey. Hello again, Timberwolves fans. Are you ready for the explosion of Timberwolves basketball? I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Timberwolves Explosion is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps, especially Spotify. And those of you that have been using Spotify, thank you very much. It does help the growth of the show with the different Spotify for podcasters platform, all that cool stuff. So thank you always, and always thank you for downloading and listening to this show. It's a great pleasure to be back aboard with you once again today. A rainy Friday morning here in Golden Valley, Minnesota. Minnesota Timberwolves season is ended in a gentleman's sweep, 4-1 by the Denver Nuggets. I guess it's what a lot of us kind of expected, sadly. It's been, generally speaking, a bust of a season. It's been a bust of a season. Of course, there's positive spin to it, very much so, especially when you consider Anthony Edwards, his emergence, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, the acquisition of him. Not bad at all. And of course, Jaden McDaniels' long-term future when he doesn't break his hand punching a wall. And hopefully the Timberwolves can re-sign Naz Reid at some point. We'll get back to that shortly. Of course, the first two games of the series we talked about last week, along with the OKC victory, the easy win over them to get into the postseason. It's nice to get there, but to just be the 8th seed, the way things ended, kind of, 5-game series, kind of reminds you of the Minnesota and Houston series years ago when Chris Paul was with the Rockets, and that club was one of the better teams in the NBA. This Denver team, obviously their record is not all that dazzling, but they look pretty damn good. There's a pretty good chance there's going to be something special there. Jamal Murray made some incredible plays in the game, and just overall, or in the series anyway, and just overall looks like an absolute stud. Very happy he was able to come back from the ACL and look as good as he does. Timberwolves did lose game number 3, 120-111. Not the most exciting thing in the history of the planet. That's for darn sure. This will be a 2-segment show. I'll probably just talk about these games, and then, it'll be 2 segments, and then just kind of jump into the NBA playoff conversation and fan interaction. It's going to be something like that. So I might even still make it 3 segments for the heck of it. It's like, oh, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to be hurt either way. Anthony Edwards with 36 points overall, an absolutely great game in Game 3. Rudy Gobert fouled out, but Anthony Edwards kind of giving it everything he's got, jumping in the passing lanes and all of that. Had 5 assists, 7 rebounds, 36 points, though, and again, clearly he is the best player on this team long term. Karl-Anthony Towns had one of his better games, though, of the series, and one of the better games he's had in a little while. Obviously, not the greatest thing ever, but 10 of 17, you can't complain too much. And 4 3-pointers attempted versus like 11 or something. That was the one complaint with Anthony Edwards. Went a little ape crazy with the 3-point shot. 3 of 11 is a bit excessive, but did get to the free throw line. 13 of 15, that's encouraging. And again, maybe getting some calls and bulldozing his way to the basket. Would have been nice to get more out of the bench. 10 total points from 4 players. 8 of them from Taurean Prince and only 2 from Kyle Anderson, but did get 6 assists. Ran into serious foul trouble, did not shoot well. But again, would have been nice to have a little more contribution from the bench. Nickeil Alexander-Walker continuing to look more and more like a guy you'd want to keep long term. It's almost tempting to just brush these games with a broad stroke in terms of we made the playoffs again and all that, but certainly another frustrating end. But the major encouraging sign is what Anthony Edwards is showing. Clearly, he's a guy that shows up for the postseason. Clearly. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, again, denying Jamal Murray the ball on occasion, and that definitely helped. It's not like Jamal Murray had a terrible game or anything, but only 18 points. Did get his 9 assists, though. Did do other things to help with the, obviously the tough defense from Nickeil Alexander-Walker, NAW, or NAW as we like to call him, as he was in the starting lineup at the small forward position. Generally speaking, that was on the offensive side. and then, of course, guarding Jamal Murray at the shooting guard. But basically swing man position in a lot of ways. Both of them are kind of swing men who can be playmakers, kind of like a point forward type of player in terms of Jamal Murray and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. That's kind of what type of role both those guys can play. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, again, absolutely love what he brings. Rudy Gobert, again, it just feels again more and more like a bust of a season overall. We came in thinking, wow, back around July 4th. Oh my God, now we have Rudy Gobert to go with Karl Anthony Towns. It's all set. The rebounding, the defense, that seemed to be kind of only Karl Anthony Towns with the rebounding, and the defense just wasn't there with him. Now you bring in Rudy Gobert, that'll really shore that up, adding more rebounds and all of that. And then here we are, 8th seed team with a gentleman's sweep of the Denver Nuggets, who won only 53 games in the season. Now, only, of course, it'd be nice if we won 53 games and did a gentleman's sweep on the Nuggets like we did many years ago. That would have been awesome. But unfortunately, just not the case this season. Just, again, a bust of a year. And we'll talk about that more and more in the State of the Timberwolves 2023 edition. So that's kind of the vibe I feel. But, I mean, this game, again, it just kind of felt like another underwhelming. It was a great performance by Anthony Edwards, but generally speaking, underwhelming. Denver was just simply the better team. Michael Porter Jr. certainly become a heck of a player after people are making fun of his contract and this and that from our general manager, our president of basketball operations, what he really is, Tim Connolly, not Connolly, but Connolly. Michael Porter Jr. is more and more living up to what he was supposed to be in a lot of ways. He was definitely a thorn in our side throughout this series. Of course, Nikola Jokic is what he is. He only attempted 13 shots, but kind of did a little bit of everything, including 12 assists. And in a lot of ways, he is Arvydas Sabonis of this day and age. We get like a full career of Arvydas Sabonis, which we did not get of the real Arvydas Sabonis years ago. By the time he got to the Blazers, he was already an aging player who was slowing down a little bit. Where way back in the day in Europe, he could have been a 7'3" point guard, which all of us always talked about. It was incredibly impressive what he was able to do out there in the past. So, yeah, again, Game 3, it just kind of was what it was. Denver was simply the better team. Game number 4, the Timberwolves were the better team for an extended period, particularly in the second half, until the fourth quarter kind of came and the double-digit lead just evaporated right before our eyes in like 2 minutes. It was ridiculous. Like missed shot three. It's amazing how quickly a double-digit lead can disappear, especially for this Chris Finch coached Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm not sure what the heck the deal is, other than Jokic getting 43 points. I'm sure that's part of the reason. I'm sure it is. It didn't help. 5 of 8 from downtown, of course. Yes, of course, it's part of the reason. Just those, he just makes it look so easy. Yeah, and half the time it looks like he's just kind of just plodding around out there. And it went in. He made a great pass. He got the rebound, and he made that look easy too. It was what it was at the end of the day. But luckily, Anthony Edwards and co. definitely up to the task. Thankfully, the Minnesota Timberwolves would escape with a win in this one. Anthony Edwards with 34 points in the game. And just some incredible play down the stretch. Did get 3 blocks in the game, coming up from behind, getting reacquiring the ball off a rebound and with the missed tip and all that after Anthony Edwards' block off the backboard. There is something very special about Anthony Edwards, and I'm going to keep talking about it. The whole mythical creature thing, where people keep turning Garnett into, well, obviously he was like this franchise player. In overall talent, yes, Kevin Garnett obviously is a franchise player, a top 20-ish player in NBA history. Yes, and I'm not discounting Garnett. I don't hate Garnett at all, but at the same time, some people act like Garnett was this can't miss, godlike figure in the NBA. And of course, I don't think any basketball player is a godlike figure. I don't. But that's my point of view. We're all human, bottom line. But Kevin Garnett wasn't a go-to guy down the stretch most of the time. In some cases, particularly against Sacramento, in Game 7, he was. That was probably the best game of his whole life. This is Game 7, Sacramento, second round, 2004. But in a lot of times, as a season ticket holder, as a fan watching his entire career, coming in as as extremely skinny kid, not tiny, but extremely skinny kid, coming in out of high school all the way to his last days at the Wolves at age 40. Yes, age 40, crazy to imagine, before Tom Thibodeau took over. He wasn't the go-to player. Obviously, his last 2 years here, of course not. He was just a really old role player. But we all understand that, I think. Duh. But no, he wasn't this go-to, take over the game, score the next 10 points, and lead this team to victory type of player. On occasion, he was. On occasion. But he was more of kind of an other things type of guy, Garnett. Kind of, in a lot of ways, which will offend a lot of people, I'm sure, a complimentary superstar. Where Anthony Edwards might end up being the guy superstar. That's going to be the difference. Where, how people talk about Kevin Love, Karl-Anthony Towns, all them, complimentary stars, that kind of thing. Andrew Wiggins, just a complimentary player, not even a star, but I guess he made one All-Star game so far as a starter. What a travesty that is. Starting All-Star. Are you kidding me? Starting All-Star. Okay, well, next year, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to start in the All-Star game too, I guess. Okay, I know, I'm just kidding. I'm so mean, but Anthony Edwards, to me, it's like plain as day that he is definitely going to be an All-Star starter for many, many years. And he does bring the defensive effort. He's not as good defensively as Kevin Garnett. I got it. I'm not a complete idiot. Kevin Garnett probably should have won 3 or 4 Defensive Players of the Year. It's a travesty that he only got one. But that's kind of, that's kind of how it is, I guess. That's how world's not fair, and let me tell you about that. The world's not fair about people being recognized for what they are. A lot of us can relate to that in a lot of ways. But no little nudge, hint there. But but Anthony Edwards, to me, is a complete player in so many ways. Obviously, and more of that go-to guy, and how he goes to the next level in the postseason. Pretty much averaged 30 points a game in this playoffs. And it wasn't just because, he's the best player on a crappy team. There are a lot of good players on this Timberwolves club that, could score 30 points. Karl-Anthony Towns could score 30 points, well, maybe not everybody can, but Rudy Gobert can score 20, I guess. Yeah, but but at the same time, there's the ball can go around very easily. Kyle Anderson could get 20. He could get a triple-double and all that cool stuff. But Karl especially. And Mike Conley can still, go off and get red hot. Even with the absence of Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels, who can go off for 20 pretty easily. Well, maybe not easily, but he can definitely do it. And I can't wait to see how bright his star is going to get. But to me, Anthony Edwards is more of a absolute go-to guy, offensively and defensively at times down the stretch in games. Even defensively, again, with those huge blocks that can change the momentum of a game. LeBron James coming up behind and such, making those unbelievable blocks that helped his teams win championships late in games in the postseason, and just in general during the course of the postseason and the regular season. And I can see a lot of that coming out of Anthony Edwards going forward, and that's what I'm seeing. That's what I saw in this postseason. That's what we saw a lot of times during the regular season. The lack of consistency in a lot of ways is because of his age. He's just 21 years old, and you can see more and more of a go for the throat player than we saw even a year ago. And you got to think he's just going to get hungrier and hungrier and hungrier down the stretch, and just going to get better and better and better. So very impressed with what he's been able to accomplish. It's annoying as hell that this team saw a double-digit lead literally evaporate like water in a frying pan in the final minutes of the fourth quarter. How the bleep do you manage that? I don't know. But luckily, the Timberwolves said screw that and won by 6 points in the overtime period, 18-12. That was great and wonderful, and thank God. Timberwolves escape a complete sweep, only to be gentlemanly swept the next game, where the Timberwolves almost won this one as well in Denver. And then things sort of got real interesting and real weird in a good way. But unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be. Tuesday, April the 25th, would be the final game of the season for the Minnesota Timberwolves in a 112-109 loss to the Denver Nuggets. Kind of a back and forth, can you top this type of battle over and over and over again. The Wolves had a nice first quarter. The Nuggets had a nice second quarter. Back and forth, back and forth. Not grind, but a back and forth again. Can you top this battle between the Anthony Edwardses and Jamal Murrays of the two teams. Karl Anthony Towns also had a very, very strong game, to be quite fair. He had a very good game 4 as well, did Karl Anthony Towns. But this was a wonderful game by both Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards. But Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns fouling out down the stretch certainly did not help the Timberwolves' cause. Gobert did get 15 rebounds again and 16 points. Only attempted 6 shots. Missed free three throws. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's a new way to say it. Okay, I'm just kidding. He missed 3 free throws. There, did I do it right this time? I hope. I apologize. Taurean Prince with 13 points off the bench, but again, not that great. And the other insanely psychotic stat that didn't make a whole lot of sense. Okay, let's see. How many minutes did Taurean Prince play? 22, right? 22 and change. Austin Rivers basically played 14. Jalen Noel played a little over 8. Nathan Knight played 10 seconds. How many rebounds did the 4 guys coming off the bench get combined together? 1.
Here we go. God. Oh, what? Come on.
Come on, mate. Come on.
How though? How do you only get 1 rebound? I understand Karl Anthony Towns got 11, which is okay. Gobert got 15, which is really good. But 0 or but 1, excuse me, but 1 by Austin Rivers. And he's like the guard of the 3, like the old guard guy, basically. 1. Okay, that's great. The Wolves could have used some better rebounding down the stretch. In a close game like this, the Nuggets out-rebounded the Wolves, and the Nuggets defeated the Wolves. Anthony Edwards didn't make a single three-pointer in the game, including the very last shot of the season, in which he ran off the court and flung a chair, basically, and hit a couple of people in their pressing charges. Yeah, that's great. I'm guessing that'll be a whole lot of nothing at the end of the day. I don't know, trying like a money grab, a cash grab type of thing, which is kind of lame. But welcome to the world. Remember when Dennis Rodman kicked a guy, and then he turned it into like he got the biggest bruise in the history of the world, which was crazy. But apparently it was funny how many years ago the story was that guy actually, there was a warrant out for his arrest for something. So all that really accomplished for him, acting like a fool, trying to cash grab from Dennis Rodman, he ended up getting exposed basically as a guy with a warrant out for his arrest. So things have a way of coming back at you. You kind of sow what you reap type of thing, you know? Kinda. Isn't that just the craziest thing ever? Anthony Edwards, he didn't have the greatest shooting game, but still gave it everything he had. 29 points in the games, 8 rebounds. He had a block that would end blocks. A block that will end blocks. I believe it was on Bruce Bowen? I think it was number 11. Yeah, it was Bruce Bowen, I believe. Not the same Bruce Bowen that played many years ago and accidentally, and I do think it was incidental, kicked Wally Zerbiak in the face. That was not intentional. He was he was trying to balance his feet out in the air. You don't just, he would have landed like God knows how he would have landed if he didn't do that. He was not trying to kick Wally in the face. At the time I bought into that stuff. I don't think he did. But that was 20 years ago, so I guess we can all move on with that one. But it was the block to end blocks. Wow. I've never seen anything like it, honestly. Floating on air, kind of like, dare I say, Michael Jordan, the way he would just kind of float on air. And he would block shots like that at times. I remember a beautiful one where he just blocked Barkley, and then him and Chuck kind of had a laugh. They're both young. They both had some hair on the top of their head, not just the sides. Okay, I'm just kidding. Yes, they both were pretty young. It must have been circa 87, 88 when Chuck and Michael just chuckling and laughing together. I just love that video. Michael Jordan Come Fly With Me came out in 1990. So, and that was around when Michael Jordan was like Defensive Player of the Year for the first time. First player ever, by the way, to be Defensive Player of the Year and a scoring champion. Yep, so that's all we can tell you about that. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. I think the argument is, it's, okay, whatever. I'll get off of that. But the cool part is you're seeing a bit of that out of Anthony Edwards. You're seeing some Jordan-esque qualities out of Anthony Edwards. And I know I might be turning him into some mythical creature right now, right before our eyes. But there is something very special about this guy. And there's no doubt about it. He's obviously a little bit of a mess, a little bit inconsistent, but I think it's coming. I really do. You can definitely see a hunger out of him. Throwing a chair is not worth it. It's just not worth it. You're not Bobby Knight. you know, and at least Bobby Knight didn't hit somebody. He kind of wanted to make it look like he was trying to. It was more of like just making a big scene is what Bobby Knight was doing because he thought it was a BS call and whatever, that type of thing. That's just Bobby Knight being a typical jackass. He always has been. And it was also like 40 years ago. But, yeah. I understand you're absolutely freaking pissed. That shot probably should have went in. You felt it should, and you didn't make a single three in the game. But I don't know. I mean, you have to be careful what you do. So hopefully Anthony Edwards doesn't get any type of unnecessary trouble now because of flinging the chair the way he did. I don't think there was any serious injury. In fact, there wasn't. It's just people being people, trying to capitalize in a situation. Oh, you should press charges. You should press charges. What if you get like $10,000 out of it, huh? Yeah, I could use that too. Fling a chair at me, Anthony, or somebody else, whoever, Jamal Murray. Fling a chair at me, and I could get $5,000. I could use that right now. I'll take 5. You know, the other people might be greedy and try to get 10 or 20 or something. I'll take 5. Please, please, please. and you could donate to the you could donate to the Timberwolves Explosion podcast on Spotify too. You could do it. You could do it, huh? Come on. You know, just say, okay, I'm going to help his show since I threw a chair at him. Okay, I think I've taken that a little too far. I apologize. Nickeil Alexander-Walker again, 14 points. Didn't shoot particularly well, but there is more there. There's more there. There is there with both Anthony Edwards, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and of course we can't forget about Jaden McDaniels, who a lot of people see as the Scottie Pippen to Anthony Edwards Jordan. And then Nickeil Alexander-Walker, you know, there is something there. And the fact that he can play defense, but he also can be dangerous offensively as well. He struggles from downtown a little bit, but then next thing you know, he's hitting them. So, again, and you don't have to necessarily count on Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I'll talk a little slower here. Oh yeah, he's from Canada. I forgot about that. Yep, I remember talking about that earlier. Yeah, I mean, if his three-point shot can get a little better, and again, the defense is there, but the passing skills are there too. People are going as far as to say he could play point guard for this club. Maybe in stretches. I wouldn't want to go too crazy about Nickeil Alexander-Walker being the point guard of the future for this club because obviously there needs to be a point guard of the future. Well, we have a guy of the present, but he's 36. And I love him. I love Mike Conley. I wish Mike Conley was 30. I wish he was 28. I wish he was the starting point guard for the Wolves for the next 5 years in his prime because, let me tell you, when Mike Conley was in his prime, I would have, you know, we would have been dying for that guy to be our starting point guard during that time. And it was so much, you know, he was fun to watch, but he was also just so good. Smart, clutch, all of that stuff. Nice, absolutely nice, and can get red hot. Now he's unfortunately ancient at 36, but well, we can hang on to him for at least another year before he decides to hang it up or so, and we'll see. Wouldn't mind seeing him as like an assistant coach on the Minnesota Timberwolves of all teams in the not too distant future. I think he could do it. That's Mike Conley, of course. But that's kind of where we're at now, obviously, again, and Anthony Edwards again. Hopefully this doesn't get drug out too far. Hopefully they don't give him too much of a hell of a time at the end of the day. But an amazing postseason by Anthony Edwards. The future looks insanely bright. It's just, unfortunately, the fact that this team took steps back this year rather than steps forward is extremely annoying. Because the Timberwolves could have beaten the Memphis Grizzlies last year if they didn't blow 4 double-digit leads. It's one thing if you blow 1 or 2, but 4? Gosh. Just you only blow 2 and you hang on to those 2 games. You just won the series. 4 games to 2, I believe, right? It would be 4 games to 2. You won the series. You beat the Grizzlies in 6. And then good luck in the next round. But maybe you keep going. Who knows? Who knows? And especially as Anthony Edwards gets closer and closer to his prime, along with the Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and other nice players like obviously Kyle Anderson, who could not play in this game because Anthony Edwards accidentally hit him in the face on a blocked shot. So that kind of sucks. They're both a little too close to each other by the rim there, and insanely unfortunate circumstances led to that situation. Oh, wow, I'm seeing, what was his first name? I remember Evans. He was with the Wolves. Huh. He was with the Wolves originally. What was his first name? Oh, gosh, it was in my head. It's in my head now. I can't get it out. Dang it. Yeah, he was with the Wolves, though. I remember that. We actually signed him as a undrafted free agent. He was with us for a couple of years. Evans, number 1. Why have I forgot his... Brian, I think it was Brian Evans? No. That was another guy. Oh, well. We'll have to let that go for now. Maybe it'll pop in my head as I'm thinking here. But, so they're showing all the different number 1s, I guess. Okay, we're happy for them. All right. Well, I'll take the number 1 we have right now. Anthony Edwards, the number 1 pick in the 2020 draft. You can check back if you want to. The what was it? What's the best scenario? I think it's called. Where back in 2020, August, when the Timberwolves officially won the draft lottery, that was exciting. I think it was August, and then we had to wait till like November or was it August, September-ish, and had to wait till November for the draft. Like that's freaking too long. Or was it October? I can't remember. I think it was like the beginning of November that the Wolves officially drafted Anthony Edwards. That was fun and exciting, and yep. I mean, he's who I wanted. He's who I wanted. I mean, it was like a little bit scary because you didn't know just how interested he was in the NBA or basketball, like football and all this other stuff. But no, it's just because he's a competitor and he loves sports. That's all it was. So a lot of us kind of were wrong about that at the time, including the quote unquote experts, because he is. The whole point is he's insanely focused and competitive, and well, this is his profession. He's an NBA player with an insane future. The playmaking, the big blocks, he can rebound. Andrew Wiggins, it took him about 8 years to become a decent rebounder, but I'll digress back where we were. Of course, a guy who is willing to really lead the team down the stretch and has that personality on the court and off. Outside of getting a little bit pissed off and throwing a chair, we'll have to wait and see how that all turns out. But future generally looks bright here. It's just, obviously there's going to be some moves in the summer, and we'll talk about that more and more on the State of the Timberwolves. And I made State of the Timberwolves 2023. Also, we'll probably have a conversation or two along the way, maybe a short episode or two, maybe even a mobile one, but probably a short episode here and there on like a rainy day or a Sunday, whatever type of thing, to kind of keep up with the postseason. And maybe something happens. Who knows? Maybe Tim Conley winds up going to the Washington Wizards. I don't know. Anything's possible, I suppose. Because basically in the press coverage yesterday, when they asked about him staying here, because of the opening with the Washington Wizards, he says, "Yeah, I'm pretty committed to the Timberwolves," and it's like pretty committed. He's pretty committed to the Timberwolves, huh? So again, like if you told your wife that, or say if Anthony Edwards said he's pretty committed to the Timberwolves, that'd be like, oh my God, he's leaving. So that isn't necessarily what Tim Connolly meant, but Connolly meant, but it does leave a little bit of room for it does give you that little bit of that. So with that said, the Lone Wolf Award is absolutely Mr. Anthony Edwards. The Johnny Flynn Memorial for this episode, I don't really, Karl Anthony Towns could be disappointing at times, but I don't think he's going to get it. I don't think he's going to get that. I don't know, maybe like a Jalen Noel. It's just opportunity to do something and just didn't, that type of thing. It's just nothing there, and it's frustrating. So it's a shame. I guess I'm going to have to go with Jalen Noel for this. It's definitely not going to be Nickeil Alexander-Walker or anything. Gobert wasn't great, but he certainly wasn't bad. He wasn't bad, but I mean, does he live up to the trade? Let me think. No, he doesn't live up to the trade at all. Think about when the Timberwolves traded Garnett in his prime to the Boston Celtics, and what we got back. Al Jefferson, Ryan Gomes, Theo Ratliff to help fill the salary. Great player years ago. By the time we got him, it's like the Mike Conley thing again, 36, and it was a big contract to help fill the, to help match the salaries and such. And then I forget if we had one draft pick or something, and then Sebastian Telfair, who was just an underachieving, frustrating player who, I don't know, just was limited. He was just limited. He got better later on in his career, but never that great. More of like a role player and all that. It's just amazing when you think about that, what kind of a haul the Jazz truly got. No, they didn't even keep Jared Vanderbilt, but, well, they made that move, facilitated a move for the Lakers to get rid of Westbrook, basically. So, like Walker Kessler Jr. and 4 draft picks. So, at the very least, are still remaining along with other pieces they got in that Laker trade and cap space and all that cute stuff. I believe it was draft picks and everything. So, yeah. I mean, what more can I say? And of course, the Wolves were a part of that same trade. And that's how we got Mike Conley and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. That trade was definitely a nice recovery. It does not repair the damages caused by the Rudy Gobert trade, but it helped. It helped. It helped help get things going in a better direction. And of course, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a nice little find for this franchise. And I don't know, he was there available for the draft just a couple years ago. I guess 3 years ago already. With that said, I already gave the Johnny Flynn Memorial to Jalen Noel, and I got that whole Garnett versus Rudy Gobert trade off my chest. It's really kind of sad and staggering when you think about that. The whole, you're never going to get a fair deal when you trade away a big name guy. Well, of course, the one time somebody did, it was at our expense. Isn't that always how it works? But maybe I'll stop talking like that, because then maybe stupid things like that will stop happening. So, with that said, we'll take a quick break, look at the NBA basically in general, and then come back for a fan interaction segment. And we are back here on Timberwolves Explosion and NBA Playoffs Edition. Ooh. Well, the Milwaukee Bucks are done already. I guess in a lot of ways this is like a feature presentation in a lot of ways, and I didn't have one. I should have had one. That probably was game number 4, but I don't know. It's hard to get too excited. A feature presentation. The Wolves won game 4 after being down 3-0. Yeah, woo! I don't get too excited about that, really. I got excited about the future in terms of people, or in terms of like Anthony Edwards and such. But I already talked about that ad nauseum, and we'll save that for the next couple of shows as well. But the Miami Heat become the 4th team in NBA history to knock out the team with the best record in the whole league in the first round. I still go all the way back to the Seattle Supersonics back in '94, when the Denver Nuggets went down 2-0. Back in those days, the first round was only 5 games. I kind of miss that. And I'm kind of okay. I'm okay with it becoming 7. It would have been lame to be swept in 3 games. I kind of miss that in a way, but crazy things can happen in those kind of series. So it's amazing. Every time a team goes up 3-2 in a first round series, the series would have been over, and then maybe the other team ends up winning. So it's kind of funny when you think about that. At the end of the day, but the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler had a 56-point game along the way, and then the final stretches. Well, leading into the fourth quarter, the Miami Heat, the Bucks were winning convincingly. I thought, they're going to be fine. They're going to at least force Game 6, and we'll see if they can come back and get out of there. But ultimately, the Bucks end up losing in the first round. Crazy to think, though, the best record in the league was 58-24. That's the same record the Wolves had back in 03-04. A good number 1 seed, but I wouldn't call that spectacular, like a spectacular season. Just a really good season. Really, really good. It's not like 67 games or something like the 92 Bulls or something. Because we'll keep that whole 70 talk somewhere else. That's just rare. Jimmy Butler with 42 in the final game, but also again, he had a unbelievable play down the stretch. Not that he was lacking in unbelievable plays throughout this series, because there were quite a few. And by the way, Kevin Love is on the Miami Heat. What do you think of that? He's been on the Heat for a while, since the trade deadline. It's kind of cool. And Nikola Jovic, no relation to the other Nikola, at least I don't think so. No, there isn't. Weird situation with Grayson Allen as well, just literally walking. So I'm not sure what that was all about. Kevin Love with 12 rebounds in the final game, but the way it was basically a lob pass that Butler was able to kind of tip in with half a second remaining to tie it up, to force OT, and after all that momentum that Miami had, they end up winning an OT. The Bucks looked scared. The Bucks looked clueless, with an opportunity to at least tie the game, if not win it, versus the Heat. in the final stretch, the final seconds of the game, which ended up being the final seconds of their season, because they just, well, okay, it's a podcast, but even, yeah, heck, people say it on regular radio nowadays. They simply peed down their leg. That's what they did. The Milwaukee Bucks bleeped their pants. They bleeped the bed, whatever the heck they did. They just couldn't handle it. They just couldn't handle it, and their season's over in only 5 games. Their season's over in 5 games. A gentleman's sweep by the Miami Heat? Are you kidding me? Okay. All right. Maybe Miami's on the verge of another run. And now you get Butler versus Thibodeau. Butler versus Thibodeau. Because the New York Knicks also with a gentleman's sweep of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Pretty good basketball team, I thought, with Cleveland. And to think I picked them to win that series because New York disappointed me last year. They disappointed me in the playoffs last year, but well, they look better now, and I'm happy for them. I really am. I would have been happy for Cleveland as well. Very nice team. Very nice team. Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland. There's this one guy named Ricky Rubio who's always hurt, but when he plays, he's good. Caris LeVert, who had a scary situation about 2 years ago. Obi Toppin. Yeah, I almost forgot about him. Remember when Obi Toppin was in the conversation for the Timberwolves? Do you remember that? Remember that draft? The same draft that we got Anthony Edwards? Obi Toppin was in the conversation. You remember that? Yeah, ended up being the 8th pick, and he's just a role player. He's just he might be working for Topper's Pizza in the next couple of years if he disappears a little bit more. But okay, that's kind of harsh. But New York Knicks look really good, obviously, and well coached. Congratulations, Tom Thibodeau, winning a playoff series, and now you get to face your guy that you traded Zach LaVine away for. Zach LaVine why am I forgetting the guy's name? The power forward on the Utah Jazz now. That was he was going to be our pick if we didn't make the Butler trade. But then ultimately, the Timberwolves end up, making that trade. And within a year, everything was down the toilet because they just couldn't, it just didn't match. Karl Anthony Towns and Jimmy Butler just were not a match at all. But, how about the New York Knicks? They got a chance now. They're going to be playing against the Miami Heat. Butler versus the Heat. It's going to be kind of fun to watch. And Lauri Markkanen, of course. Yep, great season. He looks so good. I believe he was the most improved player of the year, and how could he not be? He's an all-star, too. I think he even started, didn't he? He's like that good. Maybe I would love to have Lauri Markkanen on the Wolves right now. I don't care how many big men are on the team. I'd love to have him, maybe instead of Rudy Gobert. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Just have Karl back at 5, Lauri Markkanen at 4, Anthony Edwards, Nickeil Alexander-Walker can stay here with Conley, and rock and roll. And this Josh McDaniels guy, too. Again, just, both of you. Yeah, but Rudy Gobert can punch somebody else on Utah and something like that. So, but Knicks versus Miami Heat, who's going to win that series? Oh, boy. They both kicked some major ass, didn't they, in the first round? They really did. They kicked ass. They really did. I got to go with the Knicks, right? I got to go with the Knicks, but the Heat are very dangerous. Both teams are well-coached, defensive-minded, professional basketball teams that deserve a ton of respect. Most people, in fact, 90% of the population had both of them out in the first round. Okay, Miami out in the first round. That would be like 99% of the population because the Bucks look great all season. The Knicks, I don't know. That might have been a 50-50 with the Cleveland Cavaliers. It wasn't that big of a difference, and they're maybe a little more mature. So, whatever. But most of us did not have this matchup at all. Certainly not the Heat, but I don't think the Knicks either, maybe. A lot of us thought Cleveland might be a little better. But I'm going to go with the New York Knicks in 6. New York Knicks in 6 over the Miami Heat to get to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in forever. The Philadelphia 76ers, a team that I doubted. I did doubt them. I picked the Brooklyn Nets to win the series. I think it was in 6 or 7. It was going to be a long one. 7. I figured Philly would get to Game 7 and choke at home again, and that would have been a big disappointment. Instead, they just pulled out the brooms. There was no gentlemanly sweep here. They literally swept them right out. Get the hell out of our face. Take a walk. Take a walk, Brooklyn. Take a walk. Get out of here, basically. And that's exactly what happened. They were 9 games better. The Philadelphia 76ers were 9 games better than the Brooklyn Nets. But I thought the nice trades, the nice additions, the nice moves kind of cleaning house, and kind of rebuilding on the fly with some really nice people, really nice players. I thought that the Brooklyn Nets might be able to do something, but the star power of Philly was just way too much. The Celtics versus the Atlanta Hawks. That was a 6-game series. I'm kind of surprised this even went to 6. I kind of am. The Hawks really put in a pretty good fight. They have the best uniforms in the league, except for when they go off the color scheme. You got to keep that. You got to at least have the red and yellow combination. Even the black ones, they're still fine as long as you have the yellow and red combination. But I like the classic red. But I like the red uniforms and the white uniforms more. The black ones are fine. Keep that as a third jersey. Most of the weird city jerseys kind of go off into La La Land somewhere, and the Celtics do that way too much as well. But thankfully, they went with their traditional look, which is what the Celtics always should do, because they are an original team that has won 17 championships. All of them, they were wearing those uniforms, so maybe just older versions of them. That's all. And yeah, they won. They beat the Hawks just like they did many times in the 1980s with Larry Bird and Dominique Wilkins. I love Dominique Wilkins, and I wish he could have won one or two of those series, especially 1988. Who knows what would have happened? But unfortunately, it kind of was what it was. The Celtics were just the better team, even though they were done going to the finals and stuff by 1988. It'd be a 20-year wait after that, unfortunately for them, with Garnett and Ray Allen and of course Paul Pierce, the MVP of the playoffs, getting the job done for that club. Boston and Philadelphia. It's like turn back the clock. Larry Bird versus Dr. J. Bob Cousy versus Bob Cousy. Bill Russell versus Wilt Chamberlain. Yeah, it is some old school classic. Original six type, like I'm imagining that, like in the NHL, they say the original six. These two teams are that type, the original six type. It's like the Bruins versus the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Montreal Canadiens or something in the playoffs. It's classic. I mean, really classic. New York Rangers. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a very fun series. This one's gonna go 6 or 7. And I do think the Boston Celtics win it out in the end in Seattle. 7 games. They will face off, tip off against the New York Knicks. Boston versus New York in the Eastern Conference Final. That is going to be an absolute classic. I bet it's going to be a little bit tough for Tom Thibodeau in a way because you know who we loved growing up? I think it's pretty obvious. Just when PA brought up the 80s Celtics, back when Tom Thibodeau was coach of the Timberwolves, and the way Tom Thibodeau was like, yeah, just the way it came out of his mouth, you could just feel that, you could just hear and feel the fondness of that team that he grew up with. You could say, yeah, he's not that old. I'm old too now, so it's like, yeah, he's not that old. So yeah, you could say he grew up with the Celtics, like maybe a teenager and a young man in the late 80s. That type of thing, and then eventually was coach of the Timberwolves. Yeah, as a very young guy, an assistant coach of the Timberwolves back in '89. But yeah, that's the team that he grew up with. That's the team that he admired, and heck, they won championships in the '70s too. A lot of us forget about that when they beat the Suns in '76. So, yeah, well, maybe we'll have a rematch of that series. I think the possibilities are very high of that. But the Celtics win that. The Philly series, the Knicks series will probably be like 6 or something. But I think the Celtics represent in the East for the NBA Finals. It would be sweet as heck to see the Knicks go all the way and win. I'd be very happy if the Knicks won. They haven't won in 50 years. 50 years. I'd be very happy. Same with the Phoenix Suns. They've been around for over 50 years and they've won 0. Maybe they'll get a rematch of they never played in the finals. It was a finals that a lot of us were hoping to see in '94, but it wasn't meant to be. Unfortunately, the stupid, the Knicks made it. But the Suns got knocked out, and I think there was a major injury that year. I think it was Danny Manning got hurt. Yeah, of course he did. Danny Manning got hurt? Wow, how could it happen? Danny Manning got hurt? That's like, wow, that's like a 75% chance every season. Anyhow, the Phoenix Suns took care of the Los Angeles Clippers because 2 very important players weren't playing. What the hell? Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Oot. So it's like, well, adios amigo. Denver versus Phoenix. The winner of that series might go to the NBA Finals. Very strong possibility. We'll see though. That's going to be a great one. I will pick the Suns in 6. The Suns are going to beat the Nuggets, but it might even go to 7 actually. And road teams win game 7s nowadays. Things are just kind of different now. Home field advantage, home court advantage isn't what it used to be. The Suns will go to the West Final. Sacramento and Golden State. The Sacramento Kings, I am so disappointed. A 2-game series lead, and it's been 3 in a row for the Golden State Schmucks. And now they won their first road game in a long time. And things are starting to look familiar. Oh, so familiar. All that jumping around, all that cocky happiness that I'm just so tired of. I was tired of it before the Warriors won their first title. Here we go again. I was tired of it in 2013. Go away. Just go away. But the strong chances are they're going to finish that thing off, probably, because they have home court advantage for Game 6. So I think the Warriors win that thing in 6 games, which is really pissing me off. LA Lakers, I think, will finish off the Memphis Grizzlies in Los Angeles, California. Yes, I do think that. I think the Lakers win, and you're going to have a 6 versus a 7 in the second round. Going to be a great series. LeBron versus, this is going to be, the Western Conference is shaping up to be pretty exciting as well, especially if Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns frickin' stay healthy, by the way. If they can get to the West Finals, they can get past a pretty dangerous Denver team. Because I know we're all underrating the Denver Nuggets. I probably am too. But I don't know. Phoenix, man. I'm still on Phoenix winning the West, bottom line. So you could kind of see ahead. Phoenix versus Boston. I am obsessed with that series happening. It's going to happen, damn it. It is. Phoenix versus Boston. Yep. But anyhow, the Lakers and Golden State is going to be a great series. Lots of back and forth. The Lakers have woken up. The Warriors have woken up. There's just no doubt about it. The Lakers and the Warriors are awake. The 2021 champions fell asleep completely. But then you get the 2020 champs versus the 22 team that won the title. I don't even want to call them champions because I can't stand them. That is going to be an amazing series. I'm going to be rooting for the Lakers 100%. Vince Romano. Yes, I am. 100%. Not just because... I mean, if it was Sacramento, I mean, that would have been a fun series. And it still could be. Maybe they'll wake up and get going. It doesn't help that De'Aaron Fox is playing with a broken finger. It really doesn't help at all. But even before that, things were kind of starting to unravel for Sacramento. The Northern Cal series, basically, there. Sacramento versus Oakland or San Francisco or whatever the heck it is. Whatever it is. It's Santa Ana or it's San Jose. I don't give a damn. I just hope they lose. That's all I hope. But I do think the Lakers will beat the other super cocky team, the Memphis Grizzlies. Boy, can they talk. The Memphis Talkers. Boy, you know how like a Grizzlies are. Yeah, they're talking a lot. Hopefully their bark is worse than their bite and the Lakers do finish them off. That'd be nice. Seems like yesterday I would have been rooting for Memphis any day of the week, but no, I don't like teams that got to talk. It's annoying, and the Warriors do a heck of a little bit of they like to stomp on people's graves and you know it's just not a nice way to behave in my opinion. It's impossible to like them in my book. I do think the Warriors go to the West Finals versus the Suns. Yep. Just the way it's looking, I think they're going to the final versus the Suns, but the Suns will overcome the Golden State Bleeping Warriors in 6 or 7. Thank God. The Suns, I think, will be just too good for them in the end. I think the Warriors will find the age and stuff is going to start to catch up with some of those guys. The injury. Sooner or later, they're going to vanish off the face of the earth, and it's going to be a good day. It really will be. You know, teams, they're not the first team I disliked, but eventually they're going to be gone. When you consider Steph Curry's 35, he's not going to last forever. So, at least I hope not. LeBron might, though. Jeez, he might play till he's 43, like my age. But the Suns will overcome the Warriors, and the Celtics win the title in 6. Bottom line. So there it is. 18 championships for the Celtics. Wouldn't that be someone if it's Lakers Celtics? Ooh, that'd be an interesting series, wouldn't it? It really would be, and you never know. It's possible. It's possible. A team that came back from the dead and kicked our butts in a play-in game and became the 7th seed just like that. And wow. Well, we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. But I still say Phoenix versus Boston, and Boston in 6th. With that, we'll take a quick break and get to some fan interaction. And we are back here on Timberwolves Explosion. Just want to encourage you. Maybe there's a there is a link in the show notes for Crypto.com. It's basically like a referral link, which you could start an account and get $25 put in your account to start trading cryptocurrencies. So that's just a fun thing. If you want to trade cryptocurrencies, it's nothing to really be scared of. And I will tell you, it is no guaranteed, money grab for anybody. You might win, you might lose. It's that kind of thing. It's just like trading stocks, but with the fun part about cryptocurrency is you can trade at any time. Where the stock market, you can trade it only when the stock market is open. The crypto market is open 365, and I'm not kidding. Or 366 in a leap year, but you get the idea. Let's get to fan interaction ASAP. At TWolvesEX, Vince Germano, out of Australia, Melbourne. Tanae and Levi Brown out of New Zealand also retweeted the most recent episode 366. Useless height, where Charles Barkley went after Karl Anthony Towns, and completely understanding on that one. I didn't disagree with it, and it just is what it is. I remember when the Timberwolves won the Timberwolves won game 4. And everybody was going crazy, going in front of the camera and all that, just making a huge scene, like we just won the series almost, or we were up 3-0 or something. And it's like, okay. I was saying I wish I could share the excitement with fans at Target Center, or that the fans have. I wish I could share their excitement. It's hard to. We avoided a sweep, and so no response, but people liked it at least, so really appreciate that. Tanae Brown says, I think it's fair to say Anthony Edwards has made the leap. It's such a shame McDaniels isn't getting the playoff experience too. A lineup with Ant, McDaniels, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker could be brilliant defensively, but the question is, who's the center moving forward? I guess it's basically who doesn't get traded out of the two, because I don't know. I got to think somebody's going to get traded at some point. I think they have to, because it isn't working. It's just simply not, and they have to fix They have to fix it. They have to make a decision on one of the two. Either do the whole 35 cents on the dollar with Rudy Gobert, or see just how much you might be able to get in offers for Karl Anthony Towns. So obviously you're going to get more for Cat at this point, because clearly Rudy Gobert is not anywhere near worth what we got. So that's just a plain old fact. There was the Tanae Brown said, looks like the incident here. Yeah, but that's where it was, where Anthony Edwards was just kind of flinging the chair around. Nobody looked like they were like, oh my God, the pain! It was just like, oh, well, that kind of sucked. Why'd you do that? That's all it was. It was just kind of a bang, split-second thing. Anthony Edwards throws a chair in the tunnel. NBA Daves. That was, again, Tanae Brown sharing that. Another one, to file charges over that is pathetic, says Tanae Brown. Yeah, I tend to agree on that. I think it's very pathetic. I was saying pretty moderate. People always overreact to everything. Sure, it's not good, but still. And yeah, Tanae said to file charges is pathetic. And I was saying it's ridiculous. It's just greedy, selfish people trying to be opportunists. Pathetic. Yep, and let me tell you, there are people like that everywhere. Like, let me say, let's just say in the workplace, it is everywhere you look. You could turn the lights off, swing a stick, and hit like 10 people that are opportunists these days. It's annoying. Opportunists are not good people. They're not. Final one from Vince Germano out of Australia says, watch this if you can. So, is it the AFL? Look like Australian foot. What just happened? I swear I just saw a. Dagnabbit. Well, I'll follow it. Which one is it though? Is it this one here? This one, maybe the pinned tweet. Yeah, he's got the ball. He's making a move. That was interesting. So kind of keeping an eye on it for now. Sorry for the weird silence there. Oh, yep, nice hit there. oh, yeah, they're not wearing pads at all, and it's just boom, It's almost like hockey hits. Obviously, like football too. Oh God, I just get scared thinking that somebody's knee is gonna pop, and it probably happens way too often. I'm guessing. What a mean sport, man. Oh, Australian rules football. A Texan, huh? Oh, it's a guy from the United States. Cool. I think that's what he was trying to show me. Yep. So, yeah. So instead, so it wasn't a link. It was maybe just like, Mason Cox. Okay, I get it. It's the person. Mason Cox. I get it now. Okay, cool. It was like a 60-minute thing showing what he can. God, he's tall. Jeez. He's a beast. I just get scared when the guys are coming down in a crowd like that. That something terrible is going to happen. But maybe it's just, you just pray to God that it doesn't, because I hate to see people get hurt, But, yeah, that's kind of cool. Thank you for sharing that, Vince. Yeah, I accept it graciously. Thank you. I think there's a little bit on Facebook. Tim Conley, okay, we already did that last week. Connolly. And there's just a short one here. Yep. Oh, well, yeah, one thing. Phil Mackey. It was a Score North Facebook thing where it's like an image of his tweet. Phil Mackey said, again, Score North, the Timberwolves are a trip, man. They're clunky. The pieces don't fit. The chemistry is weird, and I don't even know that they're particularly well coached, but they fight their asses off. All right. Yeah, okay. And then the great block to end all blocks on, yes, that was Bruce Bowen. Or is it Brown? Is it Brown? And I'm an idiot. It's Bruce Brown. Oh, Joey. I'm sorry. Apologize. It's Bruce Brown. I knew that. I did. And yes, I've heard of Bruce Brown many times. But I just see that name and I think of Bruce Bowen. So I apologize. I think of Bruce Bowen. But I apologize. I think there is a Bruce Bowen Jr. out there. That's what threw me off. And then again, Tanae Brown says, great, more immaturity about the whole chair incident with Monsieur. This is again the Facebook page, facebook.com/Timberwolves Explosion. I encourage you also, this is forgive me, a shameless plug for Video Game Flashback. If you like retro video games, check that out on Twitter at VGF_podcast. And of course, Video Game Flashback is it's generally a podcast. You can look that up in any of your favorite apps, especially Spotify. Hopefully, look it up. And you'll see a Video Game Flashback if you like retro games. Just finished the Zelda 2, and I'm working on Dragon Warrior 1 now. Dragon Warrior 1 for the NES, but Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. I just did a review on that one. So check it out. Hope you like it if you are willing to give that a check-see. That show needs some love. It's still new, and it's basically not been marketed at all. So hardly anybody knows about it. It's kind of like a tiny little plant trying to grow against a bunch of weeds and grand sequoias. Somewhere in Northern California, basically. That's kind of what it's like. Grand Sequoias is in like those really popular retro video game podcasts out there. Those are the Grand Sequoias, and the weeds are all the other junk ones that, I don't know. Other people like those as well most of the time, but I don't know. With that said, I'll shut up about that. Please do give Timberwolves Explosion a positive rating, and those of you that have, thank you so much. Like the most recent one that's the nicest thing anybody could ever say about the show, and I really appreciate you very much. Otherwise, have a wonderful week or two. Maybe I'll come back, talk a little bit of playoffs, like a 1 or 2 segment show, probably a 1 segment shot. Could throw the fan interaction in just a 1 segment shot. And, just kind of keep going, keep up with the playoffs if possible. Short little shows, and then eventually maybe some news will break. And ultimately, State of the Timberwolves 2023 will be around. Also want to give a huge shout out to Scott Doherty of the Timberwolves Facebook page. Flip to Finch, huge shout out to him. Thank you so much for the kindness and allowing me to post, sharing, basically being able to share the show on there to say, check it out. It's on Spotify and all the other apps like Apple Podcasts and such. But thank you so much, Scott Doherty. Again, great guy, keeping up with the Wolves, great page on Facebook. Just a nice gentleman's page. You could say ladies and gentlemen's page, where you could talk Timberwolves basketball and talk Timberwolves basketball, like and follow and all that good stuff, and interact with each other, and hope that this team can head in a better direction this summer. We'll see. Until next time, take care and God bless.